left Arua on his 2 feet, but returns to court in that situation, coming in for the hearing of his bail application. And that is the man who has kept the country on political tenterhooks for the last couple of days, a man who transformed from a musician to actually a political leader, and someone who has since been called a force to reckon with in the politics of the country. He emerges out of the prison bus there, again moving with the help of clutches. He left on his 2 feet and returns in that situation. We'll be looking forward to the submissions of the lawyers in regard to what they have to say, but right there is the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, Member of Parliament for Chadondo East, also coming off aboard the prison bus right there. Still, Bobi, he cannot move without support right there. And right there, beckoning back that he will be strong. And then Mr. Sewufu, who was arrested at the Tally Center, and the Honorable Mike Mavike, former Member of Parliament for March India East, also part of the Arua 34, they all move into the holding center. And right there, the Honorable Chagulanyi talks to Councillor Asman Basal, a Member of Parliament, Bujiri Municipality, but also one of the lawyers representing the Arua 34 in this case. And the next person coming off the bus is the bodyguard to the Honorable Kassiano Wadri. Again, another person who left on his feet, but also is emerging out of the bus on clutches. And I think that's the conversation the nation will be having in the next couple of days, how people have been handled in the hands of the security agencies. They were handed to the prison authorities in that kind of situation. And so that gentleman right there is actually the bodyguard to the Honorable Kassiano Wadri. He was arrested together with his principal and has not been, the last time he came to court, he was not actually able to stand. He again comes back to court on clutches, in pain. You can see the look on his face right there, the difficult situation in which most of the suspects arrested in Arua are in. And again, the question a lot of us from the press have been asking, what happened to these people? Who will explain how they got into this situation? Someone who left on their 2 feet, who left in very good conditions, were arrested by officers of the Special Forces Command, the elite force in charge of the presidential security, and again, they return in this situation. And right after the Honorable Kassiano's bodyguard is the Honorable Gerard Karuhanga, Member of Parliament in Tungamo Municipality, Vice Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, one of those arrested in Arua, and they are facing charges of treason. They come for the hearing of their bail application, and many more other people who were arrested together with them right there, totaling 234. For them, they were charged straight in the Chief Magistrate's Court, unlike the Honorable Chagulanyi, who went through a process in the Military General Court Martial before the case was terminated. The Honorable Paul Mwiru, Member of Parliament, Jinja East as well, right there. He left in good shape, but returns again with the arm tied to the neck. Probably something again there happened to him in the process. And the man who has not yet been able to celebrate his victory, the Honorable Kassiano Wadri, a Member of Parliament for Arua Municipality, right there, trying to greet one of his political opponents, the people he competed with. But right there, the Honorable Kassiano Wadri hasn't been able to celebrate his victory. He is facing treason charges for allegedly attempting to take, or rather to harm the person of the president, according to the charge sheet that was read in court right here. Their lawyer, the Honorable Asman Basal, are standing by here to actually receive them. And so we continue to bring you the state in which the different suspects are coming out. Most of them are actually on clutches. Most of them cannot stand or walk on their own. I think the big question that the Chief of Defense Forces, General David Muhoozi, and the Police Chief, Martin Okoth Ochola, will be needing to give answers to is how these people got in this state, because the presumption of innocence before guilt also demands that somebody, is treated as a suspect until they are convicted and a proper judicial process is actually instituted and they are sentenced by an impartial court of law. But most of the people emerging out of this bus can hardly walk. And you can just see from the images on your screen there, Simon and Mildred, again, the images continuing to depict the situation in which these people are. A few of them able to walk on their feet, but many of them on crutches, and many of them not able to move without support. The Honorable Chagulanyi there, still in a state that he has to be supported to walk into court. The Honorable Paul Miro as well, with looks like he had issues with his arm there. And this suspect as well, you can see, cannot walk properly. They are limping into the courtroom. They will be hoping that the Justice Stephen Mubiru will be hearing their plea and granting them temporary relief and to be able to reconcile with their families and to do the different works that they have been doing on a normal day. And so for now, Simon, they go into the holding center, and then we will be waiting for 9 a.m. when the hearing of the bail application before the resident judge of the Gulu High Court here. And remember, the case comes up for mention before the Chief Magistrate's Court on the 30th of this month, and probably by that time, if investigations are complete, then probably they will be committed to the High Court for trial, because what we know is that the Chief Magistrate's Court does not have jurisdiction to actually hear this particular case, because treason is a capital offense, Simon and Mildred. And so we will be waiting for them on the other side when they appear in the dock at 9 a.m. That's when we expect the court proceedings to be starting, Simon.
Well, Joseph Sabiti, thank you very much. And that's one story that we're going to be keeping tabs on. It's trending. It's really creating a serious conversation. And during the topical discussion, we'll also be looking at the legal perspective to this current situation with the president. But Joseph Sabiti, again, when you look at lawyers, I see a team of lawyers. Probably you could furnish us with their names. Let's get to know some of them.
Well, Simon, I can see the Honorable Asman Basalira giving Counsel Caleb Balaka a hug, and then we have Kenneth Paul Kakande and Samuel Moizi, part of the legal team. If I can just have a conversation with one of the lawyers. A very good morning to you, Counsel. A lot of people would be asking, the last time you were not here, what gives you the motivation to join this case?
No. You've seen the condition in which these people are in. And we have that clarion call. If we don't do it, then I'm telling you, these things will be done to even our kids. Okay. Yeah, we can't be comfortable in our offices when there are such gross abuses of human rights and all these unfolding. When during our times, we can't sit back. Yeah.
A lot of people have been asking a very interesting question. When the Honorable Chagulanyi and others were arrested, there was the talk of this gun, which was allegedly recovered from the Pacific Hotel. And all of a sudden, the gun talk has disappeared. A lot of us don't understand the legal issues. What would you say about that?
That shows you the context in which this case is. It's a total fabrication. We shall not comment about it. We're going to see what evidence they will disclose to us. But as far as we are concerned, we expected also that gun to be around, or even that car which was stone should have been exhibited. Where is it? And where is the stone? All these things we shall question them. Where is the car? Has it undergone IOV? Where is it parked? Is it at CID headquarters? But these are issues we shall look at when we reach that level.
Okay. We know that the 34 through you, of course, are filing an application for bail. What grounds are you putting up? Why do you think the court should listen to your plea?
You know, at this point in time, anybody who is accused is presumed innocent until proved otherwise, or until that person pleads guilty. And of course, an application for bail is a right under our constitution. It's just a bond that I'll appear in court. That's just that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Counsel Caleb Balaka, one of the lawyers here, and as well Samuel Moizi. If I can just have a conversation with you. There has been this talk about lawyers involved in this case receiving a lot of threats and being intimidated, allegedly, by people within security ranks. Have you experienced anything like that?
Well, not personally, but it's not a new thing that has happened. We've seen it before when our offices have been ransacked in such cases. So when our colleagues tell us that their offices were ransacked, we cannot disbelieve them.
How does the nation get over issues is like that? You have a powerful association, the Law Society, and as well as the structures of the judiciary. Is there something that can be done about the way advocates, especially in politically sensitive cases, are handled?
Yeah, we've
especially in
often
politically
in times,
sensitive cases are handled?
Yeah, we've often in times when such matters happen, petitioned the necessary administration, that's the CJ and the Law Society. We've not really seen anything tangible out of our engagement on all occasions when we've been attacked in similar style.
Thank you very much, Samuel Maizi, one of the lawyers as well in this case, and of course the Honorable Asman, also one of the lawyers, are still having a conversation right there. Also one of the lawyers, Simon, what we know is that we have seen a huge number of politicians and lawyers, and as well as other leaders from outside the West Nile region, and as well as from the Kampala area, coming here to actually stand in solidarity with the Arua 34 as they have come to be known. But one thing I think the question we continue to ask is how the different people who were arrested and taken into custody by officers of the special forces and the different security agencies on their feet cannot now walk, they are limping, or they are on crutches, or they are in situations that are different from that in which they were arrested. I think that is the question a lot of us will be asking to the security chiefs. The last time they spoke to the media, none of them seems to be responding particularly to that question. And again, we know that the country has an anti-torture law, and probably somebody, either as an institution or individually, will need to respond to some of these concerns as we continue to ask the questions as the eyes and ears of society. Simon.
Well, I see prisons and police. Could there be military in the vicinity?